So what I want to have a look at in this video is some of the auditing capabilities that are built into Privileged Identity Management, or PIM. So I'm logged in here as the global administrator that would normally go and set the roles and allow people to use PIM. If I go in and have a look at the assignments here, we should see that we have assigned a user, director, to have the capability to escalate to being a global administrator of the environment. Now we can see their machine here. So this is the one for the director. So let me just open that up and basically go into endpoint. So I'm going to endpoint.microsoft.com as this user, who is currently just a normal user that we want to escalate to global administrator. So what I'm going to do is go in here. I'll go into the tenant admin option, and I will then select Privileged Identity Management. And if we have a look in here, you'll see under My Role, so this is the roles for the user that wants to escalate. You'll see that they have the capability to become a global administrator. So I'm going to go in there and choose to activate that. All right, so we'll wait for that to validate, and then what I'll do is bump this down maybe to just an hour and put in here for a test as the justification, and let's go in and activate that. All right, so you will see this is now activating for us. All right, that will be again sent through. You'll see it is now pending for approval. So the activation process for a user to global admin, I've set to require approval from the global administrator. And if we go in here and have a look at our active assignments, you'll see none are currently assigned. All right, so let's go back to our global administrator. All right, so we'll go into our global administrator here, and if we have a look at our pending requests here, all right, we'll see here is the one for the user that's come through. So we want that person wants to escalate to global admin. You can see the person who it is, the request type, and so on. We can go in there and cancel it, and we can see that the approval is currently pending. Now to actually approve it, let's go into our approval requests over here. Give that a moment to refresh. So there we see the option. So let's go in there and simply approve that. All right, so let us now approve that. And again, we'll put in a justification for demo and confirm that. All right, so that is now approved. Okay, and you'll see in here that we can then go back to minimize this, and let's go back to that user. All right, we'll just refresh the page to pick up any changes here, and then go in and have a look at their current active assignments there. All right, so if we go in here, have a look at the active assignments, it's all flowed through. You'll see that they now are activated. And for example, if I go into portal.cloudappsecurity.com, so go into Defender for Cloud Apps, you can see that basically I will have access because I have been escalated to global admin. So that's the standard process, which hopefully everybody is familiar with. Now, if I go back to look at my user here, so let's go back to the tenant administration for the user, and we'll go back into Privileged Identity Management for that user. All right, so you'll see down here that we had a look at the roles for this user. All right, so we did that, had a look at those roles. That's where we would activate that. But if we go down the bottom here, you'll see that I have an option for this user called My Audit History. So in here, this is going to show me basically the auditing for myself, right? So I can go in here and have a look. Now, because I've escalated to being a global admin, I'm going to probably see a large majority of requests here, but that's where you would go in and have a look at the individual audit history for the user, so that you can track and see what they have been given as an individual user. Now, if we go back to the administrator here, once again, you'll see that we have a similar set of options here. Firstly, we've got the ability to have a look at the audit, My Audit. So this again is for just this account, for the super user. You can see here I've added members and so on. You'll see that I can adjust these time settings if I want. You'll notice I also, as the global administrator who has full rights here, I have the resource audit here. So this is going to give me an overview. So imagine an environment where you have potentially multiple approvers and multiple people making a request. This is going to give you this overall picture of what's going on in the environment there. All right, so again, we can go in and have a look at this as an individual user who is escalating their role, and we can have a look at it as also the administrator in relation to PIM. Now what we can also do is we can have a look at the logs in Azure AD. So let's pop over here to another window. Let's log into our Azure portal again, and then we'll go and visit the Azure Active Directory. Now inside Azure Active Directory, we scroll down a bit, you'll see here that we have the audit log. So this is going to give us an audited capability of what's happening inside our tenant. Now what we'll do is we'll change this to maybe say the last 7 days and apply. Now you'll see here that I get a list by default of all the services that are being tracked. All right, so there's a whole range of them in here. Now if you want to get specific, what we can do here is we can change the service, or we can filter the service, and one of the options here is called PIM. So if we make sure that we select that as the filter, go apply, and we should see that now shows us all the individual PIM activities in our Azure AD. You'll see here that here's the status reason, the reason for escalating. So again, if I click on this, I will get more details over here about that in a granular environment. So lots and lots of options in there. So remember that you can audit the PIM capabilities as the individual user. So again, you'll find that down here under my audit history for the user that is using PIM. The administrator who sets up PIM, who manages it, has the capability to also audit their own interactions, but also look at the overall activity in PIM, considering there may be others doing it. And then of course the other option you've got is to go and dig into the pure Azure AD logs, and then you can go in and filter by service, in this case PIM, and get an idea of what's been happening to that service over time. Thank you very much for watching the video.